Jr. has reached the unreachable start. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Long drive. If it stays fair, home run. Great deal. Diamondbacks win. They're the world champion.
Welcome to Baseball Seasons 2001. More than a game.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
I really felt that we had a role to fulfill in this whole healing process in the nation.
October 30th, 2001. Game 3 of the World Series. 49 days after the September 11th terrorist attacks.
No president has ever visited Yankee Stadium during the World Series. This was the year for that to happen.
I remember being out in the outfield, running sprints and just stopping to watch him walk out on the mound. And it almost like everything kind of just stood still.
A few moments earlier, beneath the stadium, the president had crossed paths with Yankee captain Derek Jeter.
He said, "Mr. President, you're going to be throwing from the mound or from the front of the mound?" I said, "What do you think, Derek?" He said, "Throw from the mound." I said, "Okay, I'll throw from the mound." And then as he's walking out the room, he looks over his shoulder and says, "But don't bounce it. They'll boo you."
The United States of America, that their president, when this country is under siege, comes to the World Series and throws out the first pitch.
Very nice throw, Mr. President. Good stuff, good stuff.
There could not have been a more dramatic backdrop for what would become a fall classic for the ages. Spring training 8 months earlier seemed like a world away. Though in those early months of 2001, as teams prepared for the upcoming season, the Yankees were, as usual, viewed throughout the game as the team to beat, with 4 World Series titles in the previous 5 years.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
The New York Yankees, world champions, team of the decade, most successful franchise of the century.
After winning it all in 2000, the Yanks actually came into 2001 an improved team. Courtesy of a reinforcement to their pitching staff, right-hander Mike Mussina, who joined Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit at the top of the rotation.
To me, when you go out and win every year, where we have everyone's going to play, everyone's trying to knock you off your perch, and for us, the challenge is to stay hungry and keep that fire in your belly. And it's like this is ours. We got to defend the title, so you have to take it personally and have a little chip on your shoulder, I believe, and go out every day knowing that you got to be on top of your game.
While much attention was deservedly being paid to the Yankees, outside of New York, there were other headlines as well. 2 icons of the game were winding down their careers in 2001. Tony Gwynn.
Well, that's going to be pretty hard to do.
And Cal Ripken.
There he goes. Right foot. I hit it with my right foot.
And as they prepared to leave the diamond, a player who had arrived from the other side of the world got set to enter the spotlight.
Probably another 5.
It was a season of new beginnings in many ways for the Seattle Mariners. After losing the best player in baseball, shortstop Alex Rodriguez, to the Texas Rangers in free agency, Seattle had done something completely unprecedented in the game, signing a Japanese position player, Ichiro Suzuki, as their new right fielder.
I guess if you got to lose your job to somebody, I guess giving it over to Ichiro is not a bad thing, huh? So, truth hurts.
Ichiro came to the Mariners, having won 3 MVP awards and 7 consecutive batting titles in Japan. Expectations were high, but surrounded by question marks.
Obviously didn't know what he would be bringing to the club. And, I can remember a couple times in spring training, guys, were kind of talking under their breath about, geez, is this guy going to pull the ball? And, can he get the ball to the infield?
Come on, dog. Show me something, dog.
Lou Piniella's in spring training. He said, son, can't you pull the ball? And Ichiro said, yeah, I can pull. He said, well, show me you can pull the ball. Let's go. So he stepped in there, hit 3 rockets into the right field corner and 1 over the right field wall. Lou said, that's what I want to see.
I said, how many home runs are you going to hit? And he said, hopefully more than 0.
As spring training continued, it appeared Ichiro was settling in just fine.
As we got towards the end of spring training, I think the real Ichiro stepped up and, swung the bat with a little more authority, was a little more prepared, and went into his rookie season running on all cylinders.
As opening day 2001 approached, the excitement surrounding the new Japanese import, Ichiro Suzuki, continued to grow around baseball.
There was something about Ichiro in terms of his persona. He was a rock star in Japan. And that came across, I think, in the U.S.
But as the newcomer got set to make his highly anticipated debut, uncertainty lingered over just how well he'd fare in the big leagues.
Going into the 2001 season, nobody really knew what to expect from this new guy coming over from Japan.
There was a bunch of people out there a little skeptical of how can a guy from Japan come in.
Quite simply, Ichiro was an instant hit.
Up the middle, base hit into center field.
The newcomer made himself at home in Seattle immediately, though it took time for some to get used to his unique style in the batter's box.
The biggest thing about Ichiro was the way he batted. You never saw anybody just taking that step towards first base. It's like, what's he doing with his feet there? And he still would hit the ball. And hit the ball again, and hit it again.
And another base hit for Ichiro.
He disrupted defenses because everyone learned quickly that if you didn't get Ichiro with a clean, hard throw, no matter where it was hitting the infield, he was going to be on with an infield single.
Look at that. Now that is Ichiro.
It was just game after game after game that you realized how good and how special this guy was going to be.
And the amazing Ichiro has done it again. Ichiro came in and all of a sudden became the face of the franchise. My, oh my, Ichiro, you are just too much.
Sayonara baseball. Ichiro with his first major league home run.
Ichiro would hit .336 in his first month in the majors, a blazing debut that jump-started the Mariners.
They've won 7 of their first 9 games played and are off to their greatest start in history.
Day after day, and the Mariners just kept winning.
They capture their 15th win in a row, and yes, they're up there in that rarefied air.
There was a time in there where, you look down and you say, are we ever going to lose another game? And the Mariners now have won more games in April than any team in the history of baseball.
And as the phenomenon from the Far East had the Mariners on top in the AL, there was also a rookie turning heads in the National League. 21-year-old Albert Pujols.
That ball got out of here. He's amazing.
He had that presence right out of the gate. 2001 came on the scene, started off from the beginning as an impact player.
First career big league home run. And after watching this kid in batting practice and that swing right there, it will not be nearly the last.
Pujols instantly supplanted the fading Mark McGwire as the prime power source in St. Louis with a remarkable first month.
Albert played the game from the first day in the major leagues as if he had been in the major leagues for 10 years.
That ball is out of here.
Consistency was amazing. He didn't go through those slumps that a rookie tends to do.
And with that, he ties the Major League rookie record for home runs in April, his 8th of the year.
I'm not sure we'll ever again see anything like the arrival of Albert Pujols.
While Pujols looked the part of a future MVP, The only player in the majors with 3 Most Valuable Player awards, the Giants' Barry Bonds, began 2001 on the cusp of a milestone.
Deep to right field. This one is on its way to McCovey Cove. Number 500. It's into the water. Bonds has hit the historic 500th homer. He joins his godfather, Willie Mays. He joins Willie McCovey.
Number 500 turned out just to be a warm-up act. As it quickly became clear, Bonds was embarking on a chase of the single-season record.
Bonds has hit another one. He killed it.
Bonds hit 11 homers in April and 17 more in May.
He swings. There's a long high drive. Deep into right center. And gone! A home run!
And while his power display was tremendous, so too was his selectivity.
Every single game, he would get one pitch. Just one. And when he got that one pitch, it was gone.
And Barry Bonds drives one to deep right field.
One of the keys, the count being 3-1, Barry can look for a pitch to drive, and he did drive it a long way.
Bonds' monstrous power quickly led teams to stop pitching to him, which led to walks. Lots of walks.
The thing that's probably most unbelievable about the whole scenario was his patience. After a while, you're going to want to swing. And walking frustrates everybody, especially when you're a hitter.
This guy might go 2 or 3 at-bats without even seeing a pitch, and then he'd get that one pitch and hi-ya!
Bonds hits it high! Hits it deep! McCovey Cove out of here!
He was single-handedly destroying pitcher after pitcher when they weren't even making pitches that should be hit.
He hits it out of here!
While Bonds set a record with 39 homers before the All-Star break, his power at the plate was being matched on the mound as Roger Clemens rocketed up the all-time strikeout list.
Stuck on and missed.
And he is the top strikeout pitcher in the history of the American League. He is alone in 7th place on the all-time strikeout list.
There's a certain sense of responsibility to the Yankee fans. They don't come to boo, they come to cheer. They'll boo if they don't like what they see, but they come to cheer and they come to see strikeouts.
Well, is he throwing nasty pitches? One nastier than the other.
He certainly is remarkable, his age, late 30s, and still can be that power pitcher.
Behind an ever-present swagger, Clemens won 12 of his 13 first-half decisions.
Roger has that killer, defiant look on his face, like, I'm going to shut this team down tonight.
He just has a competitive tenacity that I've never seen in another player. He's just amazing. I mean, he wants to win every single time he goes out.
The same could have been said about the Yankees. New York surged into first just before the All-Star break, and there was little doubt anywhere they'd be around come October.
The Yankees had established by 2001 that the World Series did go through the Bronx.
It's about the team, and it's about, just representing what it is to be a Yankee.
Yankees win! The Yankees win!
It just seemed to be the destiny that the Yankees were playing the season to find out who they were playing in the World Series.
In 2001, the Diamondbacks were eyeing an NL West title, thanks in large part to the strong start of their outfield slugger, Luis Gonzalez.
High drive, and he is tied Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League record with 13 home runs in the month today.
The streak that I got off in April just kept carrying on because of the confidence factor.
That's it. Hey, here's Randy Johnson. He's raising the roof out there.
What's this, man?
Phil,
what's going on?
It's a TV show we're doing,
yeah. Going Gonzo?
Gonzalez was a huge component of the Diamondbacks' strong start, but the team's biggest weapons were its arms, starting with a towering presence on the mound they called the Big Unit.
Randy Johnson has tied the Major League record for strikeouts in a 9-inning game. 20 for the Big Unit.
He's one of the most dominant left-handers of this era. So you already felt like you had a mental edge over the teams coming in.
Between the nearly 100-mile-an-hour heat and the wicked slight, and then you throw in the size and that motion, he leaves hitters trembling.
Johnson had surprised some 2 years earlier when he had signed with the fledgling Diamondbacks franchise.
A lot of people are wondering why the Diamondbacks. This team is not the same team that lost last year. This team is already much better. I believe this team is going to win.
Johnson was immediately proven correct in 1999 as the Cy Young winner led the Diamondbacks to a division title in just their second season of existence.
Randy Johnson, as good as advertised. Every time he takes the mound, he really has a legitimate chance of shutting down the opposition.
Struck him out with a fastball on the inside corner.
But in the middle of another Cy Young season from Johnson in 2000, the D-backs knew their rotation had little depth behind him. So they made a move that gave them perhaps the best 1-2 pitching punch in the game.
It'll be the Arizona debut of Curt Schilling, recently acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies.
Worst to first. I was 18, 19 games out of first place, and about 10 minutes later, I was in first by a game.
Punched his ticket. Strike three. Call. There's the first strikeout. Many more to come for Curt Schilling as a Diamondback.
He was mulling through lineups right and left. Whoever he faced, it was just, they were scratching and clawing to get a run.
When we acquired Curt, we were getting another number one pitcher. How many rosters could boast the Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling 1-2 punch?
Both those guys were two aces on our staff.
The Arizona Diamondbacks have arguably the best 1-2 starting pitchers of the modern era.
It was great for us because what they did was they motivated each other and pushed each other.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good night.
That was as dynamic a duo as you could ever have in baseball.
You're talking about two premier strikeout pitchers in the National League, Schilling and Randy Johnson.
Strike him out!
With those two guys, they have a chance to go to the World Series.
And as the first half ended, the fireballing pair had Arizona atop the NL West. As baseball convened for the 2001 All-Star Game, the locale was fitting. Safeco Field in Seattle, home of the best team in the game.
The All-Star Game's in Seattle. The Mariners has 8 All-Stars. Is this perfect or what?
Seattle's great 8 were led by Ichiro, hitting a league-leading .345, while the other Mariner All-Stars had also played a huge part in driving the team to the best record in baseball.
What it means to Seattle is this is the baseball capital of America right now, with the 8 All-Stars and a club that has a 63-24 record at the break. I mean, it could not be better. This is baseball heaven.
Wow. You can't beat this, fellas.
Something else setting this Midsummer Classic apart was the presence of 2 legends, both making their final appearances at an All-Star game.
I think it's cool. I think it is too, and I'm glad you think it's cool.
Tony Gwynn, who is in uniform for the last time at an All-Star game. If that's not enough reason for you to go out there and give your best, then I don't know what is.
The San Diego Padres outfielder, Tony Gwynn. From the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman, Cal Ripken Jr.
He led the way. He set the example for all of us.
I'm probably speaking for everybody when I say thank you. You had an impact on me at the time. I didn't realize it was going to be as profound as it was, but I appreciate it. And everything you've done for the game.
I can remember many an All-Star game, seeing cast of kids lined up all the way up the stairs and dealing with those kids one at a time. And he was just being himself. And so, for me, he always set the great example.
Both Ripken and Gwynn had set examples as the longtime faces of their franchises, crossing paths only occasionally, but memorably, at All-Star games over the years.
He's been in the American League, I've been in the National League. You know, we butted heads a few times here at the All-Star games.
91, the All-Star game in Toronto.
That one, and Gwynn's on the run. Forget it!
Yeah, that 3-run homer went right over my head. I was playing center field in that game.
I was the MVP of that game, so that was a storybook year and a storybook All-Star game for me.
1994 in Pittsburgh, scoring a winning run.
That was my throw.
That was your throw, that's right.
In left center field and up against the fence. This could do it. Being waved home is Gwynn. They're going to play Rodriguez. Safe.
And I swear you were out.
I know Pudge still thinks I was out.
You were out.
I got a chance to jump around at the end when I was safe at home plate. You know, we've had instances where, you know, we've been in the middle of stuff, but we really haven't had an opportunity to really compete against each other in a regular season type atmosphere. Well said. Thank you.
With Wynn an honorary member of the NL roster, Ripken was left to take the spotlight for both of them, albeit at times unwillingly.
Alex Rodriguez grew up in Miami idolizing Cal Ripken Jr.
It's my boy. This is my son.
Cal Ripken is obviously very special to me. And I said, what can I do to make this event better and really honor him for the great shortstop that he's been?
And he thought this year should be the year that Cal Ripken Jr. should finish as an all-star and start this game as a shortstop.
Hey, you're on my spot.
There's my spot for 1 inning. So, yeah, you're going to shortstop for 1 inning.
I'm not going to shortstop.
And I really wanted to tell him something else, but I realized that I had a mic on.
Hey, one more time. They want you 1 inning over here.
I must have been the only one in the whole country that didn't know what was going on. And I was scared at first. And I said, this is not the time or the place to actually do that. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to. Look at Skin. Look at Skin. I don't want to go.
Hey, he has to.
I looked in the dugout. I realized that everybody else knew about it but me.
The whole stadium knows. Give me some.
The whole stadium knows.
I'm the third base. You got to go to short for 1 inning.
You knew he wouldn't want to go.
So he went over there, and it was great.
I kind of yelled out to Roger Clemens, now you got to strike him out.
Hey, strike him out.
In a sort of a joking way, just to put myself at ease.
Hey, where do I play?
I didn't get a play at shortstop, so that's how the last All-Star game started.
Hop up!
Left side of the infield, and Alex Rodriguez, the third baseman, at the shortstop position.
Hey, do you want me to call you off?
I don't know how to mark that down on my scorebook. I guess.
I'm used to having somebody else call me off.
When Ripken returned to third, he quickly readjusted. Then it was time to hit.
Hey, you trying to get him in there?
The shadows on the wall were so difficult. I think I had a comment to Mike Piazza saying, this is worse than I thought it would be.
Oh, how was your visibility? Don't look too good to me.
Not too good.
Batting eighth in the American League, third baseman, number 8, Cal Ripken Jr.
The reception I felt from everyone in Seattle was pretty overwhelming.
And here is Cal Ripken Jr. receiving a long and loud standing ovation. He steps out of the box and waves to the crowd his final All-Star appearance.
Said thank you in the best way I could, and then I had to try to focus. And I just started to say, calm yourself down, look for the ball, put a nice easy swing on it, and good things might happen.
Now he steps back into the box, and here comes the pitch. And there's a high fly ball to left field. Did he do it? Did he do it? He did!
It was almost like having your first home run all over again.
Cal Ripken Jr. in his last All-Star game hits a home run. Who wrote this script?
I wanted to kind of go out doing something. A single would have been fine. But that home run catapulted me, and I came in, and I was really well received by all the other guys.
Way to go, dog.
Prior to the sixth inning, the game was paused to honor the two future Hall of Famers.
He gave Cal and I both the Commissioner's Award, and that trophy sits prominently in my trophy case. It's one of those that you're very proud of.
The most meaningful thing by far was shaking hands with each one of the players and just kind of looking at them in the eye. Having the opportunity to say thanks to everybody was really nice.
These last 20 years have been the greatest ride I think you can ever be on. And seeing Cal hit that home run, that was pretty impressive.
It's been a great, fantastic run. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Ripken would become the first American leaguer to win a second All-Star Game MVP. And in the 2001 season, there were many more dramatic moments to come. So far, 2001 had laid the foundation for a tremendous finish. And as the season continued, the milestones began to roll in. In August, Roger Clemens' phenomenal start became truly historic, while Randy Johnson's dominance reached unprecedented proportions.
That season, he was so dominant that, nobody could touch him.
Randy Johnson becomes the first player in history of baseball to record 4 consecutive 300 strikeout seasons.
Ichiro continued his torrid rookie pace, reaching the 200-hit plateau before Labor Day, while Barry Bonds entered the ultra-exclusive 60-home run club.
And he joins Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Babe Ruth, and Roger Maris.
With only a few weeks left in the season, fans had already enjoyed an extraordinary number of moments. But they were all forgotten, suddenly, on a haunting Tuesday morning.
9/11, we were in Houston. I turned the TV on, and bam.
I got a phone call from my wife, and she said, turn the TV on, something horrific has just happened.
I felt this whole sense of panic. What are they going to do next? Is this going to be a bomb? Is this going to be a nuclear attack? What's going to happen now?
I knew a couple of young people who had relatives and fiancés, that went in the tower, and the psychological effect that it had on a lot of people.
As the country struggled to comprehend what had happened, the baseball season was suspended indefinitely.
This is such a horrific tragedy. Worrying about games now is really quite unimportant.
In New York, amid the shock and sorrow, there was work to be done. And as thousands of volunteers began the recovery effort, they were joined by Yankees and Mets finding small roles to play.
We got a bunch of t-shirts here.
Shea Stadium was a place where they were kind of serving supplies and things back to Ground Zero, and we contributed and did what we could to help.
One of the things that we could do was support all the volunteers, the firemen and all the policemen, doctors and nurses, try to go to the hospitals and try to offer some support. I felt good doing it, but at the same time, it really puts your whole life in perspective.
This had been an unspeakable tragedy. And I agonized for the next 3 or 4 days, talked to a lot of people in Washington, did a lot of things, and finally deduced on that Friday that we ought to come back Monday. I believe that in a spirit of national recovery, Major League Baseball can best be helpful by resuming play at the most appropriate time. I believe that time is Monday.
The world had changed. Everything had changed, and to try to re-embrace the same energy, the same enthusiasm for anything was very, very difficult for most Americans, and the baseball players were no different.
I urge people to go to their businesses on Monday. I understand Major League Baseball is going to start playing again. It is important for America to get on about its life.
Yes, it's my job, and I'm coming back because the president wants that, and to be playing baseball today, I'm in it. But then again, a part of me is not in it. So it's going to be interesting to see how baseball returns.
We were basically questioning ourselves, why do we need to play baseball now?
I knew there were some people who thought we either could have come back before or should have come back later. Turned out to be perfect. And I'll tell you how I knew it. The great Jack Buck.
I don't know about you, but as for me, the question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes. Should we show others how to demonstrate our resolve? Yes, and we shall do it here this evening.
He was very emotional. The crowd was emotional. It was really wonderful, and I cried listening to him.
I just have a lot of emotions going on right now. We try to just perform, and it's a difficult thing, but everyone's trying.
At some point, it started making sense. I went 180-degree change to really feel very proud and honored to be part of the whole healing process.
Baseball was playing a small part as the country moved on, though the biggest step, a return to New York, was still to come.
One thing that I've been really missing, and I'm going to really break down tonight, I'm going to go to a Met game.
Tonight we come together for the first regular season professional sporting event in New York City since Tuesday, September 11th.
even for us, it went to a different place emotionally. It really turned out to be an unbelievable night.
To hear and feel the emotion of how it all played out. We had to win.
And here's Piazza with a runner at first, one out. Braves leading the Mets 2-1. Bottom of the 8th.
Here's the man the Mets want up in this spot.
10 days after the attacks, fans had filled Shea Stadium that night in search of something to cheer for. Mike Piazza gave it to them.
And the pitch. High fly ball, deep to center field.
For that split moment, thought, well, you know what? There's a little divine intervention. This was meant to be.
This one has a chance.
The stars were aligned. Everything was in place.
It's way back. It may go.
Winning that game or losing that game was not the single most thought that you had before you went to bed.
Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2.
It was one of the few defeats, especially in a pennant race, where you kind of wrote it off pretty quickly.
Why is baseball back? Those firefighters smiling.
After the Mets' memorable return, 4 days later, the Yankees came back to the Bronx for another emotional night.
I just kept saying hi to everybody that I could. It was our duty to at least bring some sense of normalcy.
That night, the Yankees immediately returned to some form of business as usual, clinching their 4th straight division title.
The Yankees have clinched the American League East.
A few days earlier, 3,000 miles across the country, the attacks had also been front and center when the streaking Mariners had clinched the AL West.
That's the first time I have ever seen a flag wave during a pennant-clinching game.
Everybody's thoughts are in the same place. Everybody's feelings are the exact same, and everybody was together.
What a season for one of the greatest teams in baseball history, with 106 wins and counting. Swing and a miss! Dan Wilson hangs on! The Seattle Mariners have tied the 1906 Chicago Cubs with win number 116. The Mariners are in the record book for the most wins in baseball history.
2001 came absolutely out of nowhere. No one had forecasted anything like the 116 wins.
And while the Mariners' spectacular season had thrilled Seattle fans, the performance had overshadowed a rival also enjoying big success.
Athletics baseball, the boys are back.
They were young, brash, and in the second half, red hot. And the Oakland A's had taken the wild card lead early in August behind a promising pitching trio and a powerful collection of bats.
He is amazing. The A's are amazing.
The A's 1 out away from a clinch, a postseason berth.
To first, appropriate. It's to Giambi, to the bag. The Oakland A's have gone from 10 games under 500 to make the postseason for the second consecutive year. They win the wild card 2001.
I'm just so proud of everybody in this room, not giving up and not giving in. We wanted to keep that winning attitude and keep going, and we're back in the playoffs.
As September turned to October and the 2001 season headed for the finish, one player zoned in on history.
It was like he was seeing the ball in prisms almost. I was like, man, how does this guy do this?
Bond, deep, out of here! 62!
Number 66.
Number 68! What a shot!
He became such a ferocious hitter that we saw teams avoiding pitching to him like we never saw in the history of the game.
And Bonds walks for the 171st time, a record that was set by the Babe 78 years ago.
But if he had 1 or 2 pitches during a game to hit, he squared those up.
Number 69 for Barry Bonds! 1 away from tying the record, 2 away from breaking it.
The last week of the season began with no homers and 10 walks, and then this.
There it is! Deep to right center field! He has done it! Number 70! He has tied McGuire! And he will be greeted at home plate by the entire Giants team! Number 70, and absolute no doubt.
There was so much anticipation for him catching everybody who had come before him. But you knew it was going to happen.
Now Barry Bonds will head to the plate for the first time. And the entire ballpark rises to its feet. And they're getting ready in the Armada out at McCovey Cove.
And here's the set. Light bulbs flashing everywhere.
There's a high drive! Deep into right center field to the mid part of the ballpark! Number 71! And what a shot! And Barry Bonds is now the home run king! Number 71! History in San Francisco. There is bedlam at Pac-Bell Park.
Bonds hit a level, not just that he had never shown before, but I think that no one in baseball history had ever seen before.
There's a high drive. Number 72! 72 and counting for Barry Bonds. First he broke the record. Now he is rewriting the record book.
San Francisco and your fans, we've come a long way. We've had our ups and downs. Thank you. Thank you.
In the season of his dreams, a season unparalleled. Number 73.
That was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I don't know if we'll see that again.
Barry Bonds is at the top of the list all time.
As Bonds' historic season concluded, so too did the careers of two longtime Diamond legends.
There cannot be another time in baseball where you've had two icons go out at the same time, like a Tony Gwynn and a Cal Ripken Jr., where they were universally loved. It was just a nice, magical time.
Their accomplishments on the field were legendary.
And let it be said that number 8, Cal Ripken Jr. has reached the unreachable star.
A star for the ages for Tony Gwynn, number 3,000.
They had brought so much credit to the sport and had conducted themselves with such professionalism and everything else. But just as important, they were two of our really great citizens off the field.
The iconic pair enjoyed tributes paid to them during the final games of the season. Though in San Diego, Gwynn ended up sharing the spotlight with another remarkable player approaching a milestone.
Leading off the Padres, number 24, Ricky Henderson.
My last day in the big league. Ricky's sitting on $29.99. He needs one hit for $3,000. And I say, hey man, you're not gonna ruin my day. It's gonna be your day.
And a fly ball, right field. Is it gonna fall? Is it gonna fall? There it is! There it is! Number 3,000 for Ricky Henderson.
Just a few days earlier, Henderson had broken the game's all-time mark for runs scored, and now the greatest leadoff hitter in history had set the table once more for Gwynn's final send-off.
He kind of got emotional. He was like, yeah, this is really special. I said, yeah, man, it is.
Both Cal Ripken Jr., the Baltimore Orioles, and Tony Gwynn bowing out after long careers.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was tough to watch them officially step down respectively. They gave so much to the game that's what they're going to be remembered for.
One question I've been repeatedly asked is, how do I want to be remembered? My answer has been simple. To be remembered at all is pretty special.
1 month after 9/11, the 2001 postseason began.
The whole country lent their heart out to the New Yorkers and the New York Yankees at that time.
I mean, we were playing for more than the team, obviously. We were playing for the city. I think the city really embraced the fact that we were playing in the postseason, and in some senses, it became America's team.
You know, being from Boston, I'm not sure that I was actually rooting for the Yankees, but I think probably for the first time I wouldn't have cared if they won.
New York's first opponent, though, was no pushover. The Wildcard Athletics, with 102 regular season wins and apparently no regard for sentimental favorites on the diamond.
The A's are going home up 2-0. No team has come back in a 5-game series down 2-0 with the first 2 losses at home.
You almost felt the relief that we were able to leave New York unscathed, and yet we still felt that, hey, wait a second, this is the New York Yankees, be careful.
And in Game 3, the Yankees would call on a higher power with a heady assist from their brilliant shortstop.
He certainly read that Spencer threw the ball over the 2 cutoff men's heads, and he was there where he should have been. However, we do not practice the old backhand shuffle.
Look at Jeter. What is he even doing over there? He shovel passes it over there like he's the quarterback for the University of Michigan.
It was unbelievable, and at that point in time realized that, you know, we have to win now.
And after the Yankees tied the series, they brought back all the momentum to New York.
And they're roaring in the Bronx,
where number 2 seized the spotlight again.
Popped up, third base side. Brocious and Jeter both over. Jeter, did he get it? Did he get it? Did he get it? He got it! He got it!
Watched a great play by Jeter. No regard for his body, flipping backwards into the seats. Unbelievable, this guy.
We never give up. That's what the Yankees are doing. That's what the people in New York City are doing. It's amazing the way we keep coming back and we don't give up.
The Yankees will defend their title.
The New York Yankees have risen from the dead, and coming from a 2-0 deficit, this is the most emotional demonstration since the Yankees beat Atlanta in '96.
Up next for New York in the ALCS were the mighty Mariners, winners of the most regular season games in Major League history. The series opened in Seattle.
Now the pitch. Swing and a drive deep to right field. Going back is Ichiro. He looks up. This one is gone. A home run.
And in games 1 and 2, it appeared experience, and some would say fate, would trump everything else.
The Yankees have come to Safeco Field in Seattle and play like the 3-time defending world champions.
It's tough to open a series in your home ballpark and lose the first 2 games.
As the Yankees rose, they returned home to a city also beginning to rise, and they finished off Game 4 in dramatic fashion.
Swung on, hit high in the air to deep right center field. Back goes Ichiro on the track, at the wall. She's gone! Alfonso Soriano wins the game with a 2-run home run.
Soriano's blast put New York 1 win away from an emotional and meaningful World Series return.
The Yankees represented, all those hopes to see the city come back and to see the team in the World Series.
Ball game over. American League Championship Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
The Arizona Diamondbacks rose out of the desert to excellence quicker than any expansion team ever, winning the NL West for the second time in 2001. A meteoric rise for the franchise, but an opportunity a long time coming for many of its players.
We got to the playoffs. A lot of guys felt like this might be their last chance. We felt like we're right there, we're close enough. We can't let this slip away.
One of those veterans, 22-game winner Curt Schilling, had set a strong tone in the division series opener against St. Louis.
A complete Game 3 hit shutout.
It was a key win in a dramatic series that would go a full 5 games.
Oh, baby! Get up, get up, get up!
Winning run at second, 2 out, and the 2-2 pitch to Womack. Little floater, left field. Here's the throw. Diamondbacks going to the NLCS.
Next up were the Atlanta Braves, a team well acquainted with the value of strong arms in October.
Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson were dominant. Your starting pitcher determines the momentum. It determines everything about a series.
20 in a row sent down by Randy Johnson.
If he keeps throwing like this, nobody's going to get a hit.
Struck him out swinging, and the Diamondbacks won it.
And Curt Schilling with his 3rd consecutive postseason complete game.
It all comes down to this.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks become the fastest expansion franchise to reach the World Series.
The New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks kick off the 97th World Series in big league history.
In just 4 seasons, the Diamondbacks had risen from last-place rookie franchise to National League champions.
Right where I wanted to be.
That's where we wanted to be, too, so
This is where we wanted to be.
it's a great matchup. Yeah.
Meanwhile, for the Yankees, looking for their 4th straight World Series title, the atmosphere was familiar.
How you doing today, man? You ready to roll? We're ready to roll.
This is the first major championship to be played for on this soil since September the 11th.
For the Diamondbacks, it was a daunting first trip to the World Series stage, facing a team adopted by America that just happened to be a 3-time defending champion.
That's up the hand, slicing down the left field line. It's a fair ball. Jeter's running, and he'll score on a 2-out RBI double by Bernie Williams.
But Schilling was able to limit the damage in that first to that 1 run. And then the Diamondbacks struck right back.
Here's Craig Counsell.
High fly ball. Deep right field. Warning track wall. 1-1 and a home run by Counsell.
That just changed the whole momentum of this first game. You could almost see it in their faces out in the field. When he hit that home run, it was like, you know, these guys are here to play.
Here's Luis Gonzalez.
There it goes. Way back. Diamondbacks lead it on a 2-run homer by Gonzalez.
Led by their biggest slugger, Arizona torched Yankee pitching for 9 runs. While Schilling and the Diamondbacks bullpen shut down New York's offense the rest of the way to take Game 1.
We want to certainly get off to a good start because it puts a little pressure on that other club, knowing that, hey, we got to come back tomorrow. We're down 1-0, and we got to face the big fella tomorrow.
What do you think is going through the mind of Randy Johnson? Here's a guy, 38 years old. He's never had a chance to pitch in the World Series.
It was a game that essentially I've been waiting for all my life. I knew what I wanted to do when I took the mound out there. It's one thing to know what you want to do, but now you have to go out and execute.
Strike 1 right down the middle, and we are underway.
Strike 3. My goodness.
372 strikeouts during the regular season. 4 tonight in the World Series, and now 5.
Schilling and Randy Johnson, boy, they were really, really dominant. And we knew we'd have to face 2 or possibly 3 times during the course of that series.
He's got good sinker working tonight. The pitch. Strike 3. Randy Johnson strikes out the side. He's retired all 9 Yankees, 7 by strikeouts.
In the 7th, Matt Williams' 3-run homer gave Arizona a 4-0 lead, which was more than enough for Johnson to finish off the Yankees.
You want to finish this one? Yeah. Atta baby.
Even for the big unit, it was an impressive line for his first World Series start. 11 strikeouts and a complete game shutout.
They're up 2 games to none.
After masterful performances by Arizona's aces to start the 2001 World Series, The teams traveled to New York for Game 3, and the Diamondbacks knew this series was far from over.
You go into New York City, you're up 2-0, you're feeling pretty good about everything, but we knew that there was going to be a fight. They weren't going to give up easy.
And after President Bush's perfect strike, Yankee pitching quickly took his lead from the mound.
God, on a miss, threw it by him.
Roger Clemens and Mariano Rivera combined for 13 strikeouts to bring New York within a game of getting even in this series.
He struck him out swinging. That was an unhittable pitch.
Full mouth. Full moon. You know what that means? Crazy things happen in a full moon.
To prevent the Yankees from gaining more momentum, the D-backs had called on Schilling to start Game 4 on short rest.
Kurt Schilling thinking about this, starting on 3 days rest.
The right-hander was tremendous yet again, giving up 1 run and striking out 9.
Schilling is Schilling. 4 days rest or 3.
And with a 3-1 lead heading into the bottom of the 8th, Diamondbacks manager Bob Brenly was faced with a tough decision.
That's enough. That's enough. Listen, you're at 88 right now. We got BK locked and loaded for the last 6 outs, man. Let's you know, you're a hero already, man.
I'm all right to go another one. I mean,
let's save him. Let's save him. Let's save him. Pitching your ass off. That's good, man. That's good.
It's a moot point to come to me in a ball game and ask me if I'm all right, because I'm always all right. I always feel like whatever I've got left is better than whoever you're going to bring in.
Young-Hun Kim makes his first World Series appearance, and Kurt Schilling is sitting on the bench and watching here in the 8th inning.
I can't wait to ask Brenly why. Hey, it could work out just like starting Schilling on 3 days rest worked out.
Pitch is cut on him. He struck him out swinging. Great inning for Kim. 3 up, 3 strikeouts.
In the 9th, Kim allowed a hit to Paul O'Neill. But after the reliever's 4th strikeout, the Yanks found themselves in a desperate situation.
Here they were, an out away from going up 3-1, and in essence putting us away.
So here's Martinez also looking for his first World Series hit this year. He's 0 for 2 tonight with Milwaukee. He's 0 for 9 in the series.
We're losing, you know, but we're not going to give up. We're going to go down with a fight.
fly ball center field. Hit his way back. At the wall. Goodbye. Home run. Home run. Tino Martinez with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. He drills a game-time 2-run home run. Oh, Tino delivers big time. And the Yankees, on the precipice of defeat, tie the game at 3. Oh, my, what a moment at Yankee Stadium.
Kim took the mound again in the 10th, retiring the first 2 batters. But once the clock struck midnight, more magic ensued.
For the first time in the history of Major League Baseball, playing the World Series during the month of November.
The Yankees had long since anointed a Mr. October. But as the new month began, another clutch star fittingly claimed November.
Swung on a drill to right field. Going back Sanders on the track at the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! A home run by Derek Jeter.
I've never hit a walk-up home run before. You dream of when you're a kid to hit a home run in a key situation in the World Series, and to get an opportunity to do that, it's pretty overwhelming.
He is Mr. November.
The Yankees still knew how to win games.
A lot of world champions on that team.
Are you ready for more? Can there be more like we had in Game 4?
The Yankees had refused to give up, but the Diamondbacks also weren't about to slither away.
And the Diamondbacks are on top.
Oh, he got him! He got him!
In Game 5, they used a pair of early home runs to take a 2-0 lead, heading to the bottom of the 9th.
New pitcher Kim, new left fielder Danny Batista. Okay, I got you.
After last night, blowing the save in the 9th inning, then getting the loss in the 10th inning. Young-Hun Kim is trying to save it.
After giving up a leadoff double, Kim retired the next 2 batters. All that was left between the Diamondbacks and a commanding 3-2 series lead was Scott Brosius.
You're trying to tell yourself that, this game isn't over yet.
I know everybody's waiting for that sort of ending again, but I think it's kind of unfair to expect that.
I remember going into that at-bat and actually starting to feel a little bit more comfortable because I had seen him a couple at-bats before.
That one hit in the air to left field. Do you believe it? Goodbye, home run. They have done it again.
Going around the bases, I'm thinking to myself, no way did this just happen again.
I don't believe it. Deja vu. A two-out, game-tying two-run home run by Scott Brosius. Probably the most unbelievable feat in World Series history.
We go to extra innings, tied at 2. Now it's the rookie Alfonso Soriano, who's already ended one postseason game this year with a swing. Into right field, base hit. Here comes Roblox. The throw by Sanders. Play at the plate. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
The Yankees win. They did it again. The Yankees win.
Didn't it work out perfectly? We won the first 2 games in Arizona. They won in dramatic fashion, which New York needed.
It uplifted the city.
When I think of the World Series, I think of those 3 games in New York. That epitomized what playing in New York was all about.
Oh my! Another miracle in the Bronx!
With all signs pointing to destiny on their side, the Yankees were 1 win away from a 4th consecutive world title.
What a series this has been, and what a most improbable 3-game set we saw at Yankee Stadium.
The Yankees win! They did it again! Oh my! Another miracle in the Bronx!
Having all that momentum going into Arizona, we really felt that we had a great opportunity to be the world champions that year.
Down 3 games to 2, and with fate conspiring against them, the Diamondbacks could have been overwhelmed. Instead, they were confident.
We're a big game team. We've always played well with our backs up against the wall.
A sellout crowd at Bank One Ballpark. We welcome you to Game 6 of the 2001 World Series.
Randy Johnson heads to work. He'll take on the Yankees, trying to force a Game 7 tomorrow night.
97 miles per hour with that fastball.
While the big unit began the game in trademark fashion, on the hill for New York, Andy Pettitte appeared uncomfortable from the outset.
We got out of the gates real good against Andy Pettitte in Game 6.
Pettitte does not have his best, not even close to his best tonight.
Pettitte just got destroyed in Game 6, and that was tough to sit through.
You could be the most ardent Yankee fan, and you'd have to admit that Game 7 looks like a distinct possibility right now.
As Johnson cruised, the Diamondbacks built up a staggering 15-0 lead after 4 innings. It would equal the most lopsided postseason loss in Yankee history. And more importantly, force a deciding Game 7.
It should be a marquee matchup. I think the fans will get a treat tomorrow night.
For only the 3rd time in the last 14 years, there is a Game 7 of the World Series.
We are set for what should be a classic matchup.
Fans inside Bank One Ballpark going crazy with anticipation.
1 game, all or nothing. This was the opportunity we were looking for. We didn't want to let it slip away.
Schilling into his line, and the 2-2 pitch to Jeter. Strike, we call. That's the way this one starts.
If you had one guy that you wanted to start Game 7, to a man, everybody said Kurt.
And early on, Schilling got help from some dazzling Diamondback defense.
Finley back, and he makes the catch.
Meanwhile, Roger Clemens was powering through the Arizona lineup.
Wow. 95 miles per hour, and Clemens got it past Miller.
For 5 innings, the star pitchers traded fastballs, strikeouts, and zeros on the scoreboard. Then in the 6th, the Arizona bats finally showed signs of life.
1 run may win this game.
Into left center field. That ball is going to get down. That ball is going to put Arizona on top.
But just a half inning later, the Yankees began mounting a rally of their own against Schilling.
going. Liner into center field. It falls in front of Finley. A hit.
After a Bernie Williams groundout moved Jeter to third, Game 4 hero Tino Martinez stepped to the plate.
Martinez with a base hit to right, and the Yankees have tied it. Another gutty move by the Yanks.
For the first time all night, it appears Schilling's starting to tire just a little bit.
But Arizona had lost faith in its bullpen, and a weary Schilling was left in to start the 8th against Alfonso Soriano.
Schilling's ready to go, and here comes his 0-2 pitch. Soriano into deep left field.
I remember when he hit the ball, I went running back to the wall and knew it was going to be a home run.
Yankees on top, 2-1. So the Yankees have got the lead in the 8th. And they have the Diamondbacks right where they want them.
Hell of an effort, big man.
Kurt was distraught. He was saying to himself, I just lost the World Series for my team.
That ain't going to beat us. We're going to get that back plus some.
The Yankees needed just 6 more outs to win the series, and they had the greatest closer in postseason history, primed to get them another title.
Mariano Rivera takes over on the mound.
Dominant closer in Major League Baseball, Mariano Rivera was coming in to try to save the game, and it didn't look good for our team at the time.
2 out. Bautista strikes out. And Rivera fans the side in the 8th.
Great inning for Rivera.
Bottom of the 9th inning. Last chance for the Diamondbacks.
But just when everything had fallen into place for the team of destiny,
the wind has really kicked up inside the ballpark. Not sure all of a sudden where that came from.
It became apparent maybe the script of this series wasn't just written as a New York story.
Mariano has come on to pitch the 8th, and now he needs 3 outs for the Yankees' 4th straight world title.
Greg, don't you think the way this series has gone, something has to happen?
Let's hope it does.
We had the perfect people lined up to compete against even Mariano Rivera.
Into center field, a good start for Arizona. Grace with his 3rd hit. Miller at the plate to bunt. And he bunts back to the mound. There's a play at second into center field. DeLucci will stay, and it's 2 on with nobody out. Womack's gotten some big postseason hits. He'll try and get one here. Womack into right field, and Tony Womack delivers. It's 2-2. What I say, Greg, something has to happen in the bottom of the 9th for this series. It's been unbelievable. Now the Diamondbacks can win it. They have tied it.
Well, that is Rivera's first postseason blown save since 1997.
The bases are loaded. It hits Counsell. He goes to first. They're loaded for Gonzalez.
Walking up to the plate, I was thinking, this is a situation that every kid dreams of in their lifetime. I mean, an opportunity to win the World Series.
The chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez.
It's a 50-50. Either you do it or you don't.
All the Yankee infielders and outfielders are in. And the 0-1 delivery. And a little blooper. Base hit! Diamondbacks win! Gonzalez did it! The Diamondbacks are world champions!
It's an unbelievable feeling that I had and something that I'll never forget.
Folks, it doesn't get any better than that. This series has been unbelievable.
Arizona rallied for 2 in the bottom of the 9th inning in one of the truly great baseball moments.
For me, it goes down as one of the best ever played.
Are you kidding me?
And the Yankees' streak of 3 straight world titles is now over.
He was disappointing for us. I guess it wasn't really meant to be our year.
They had let a title slip through their hands, but provided much more. A reminder that a game could resonate even in the darkest of times.
It's great for baseball. This has been a phenomenal World Series.
Years after Game 7 in 2001, some observers would say the Yankee dynasty ended on that November night.
And the Yankee streak of 3 straight world titles is now over.
The loss in Arizona began a string of playoff disappointments for the Bombers.
The Boston Red Sox earned this celebration with the biggest comeback in postseason baseball history.
Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn were inducted together to the Hall of Fame in 2007.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Barry Bonds, meanwhile, would continue his late career burst of awesome power and dominance.
There it goes! High into the San Francisco night and out to the cone!
And in 2007, he broke Henry Aaron's career home run record.
And Barry Bonds, with 756 home runs, he has hit more home runs than anyone who has ever played the game.
On the mound, Roger Clemens would also continue to dominate past his 40th birthday.
Clemens strikes him out.
Eventually winning 354 career games. But along the way, whispers about both players would turn to allegations of steroids and performance-enhancing drug use. Ichiro's record-breaking mastery at the plate would only continue to inspire awe in Seattle and beyond.
And a ground ball back up the middle, and there it is! He's a new all-time hit king in Major League history, number 258. My, oh my!
Just as significantly, Ichiro has become a pioneer, ushering in a new, truly global era for the game.
It's a grand slam! Hideki Matsui.
While today the game might be more international than ever, a look back to 2001 is a reminder of what kind of foothold baseball has on the American conscience.
It feels good and it feels right to be back here at the ballpark.
Baseball in September, October, and then November of 2001 was as meaningful to the country as it ever had been before.
Baseball has been asked to do what it was asked to do many years ago, and that is be the national pastime.
Americans were in need of something to cheer for. The game gave it to them.